I know a few of you guys have been waiting for this update. If you've been watching my channel for a minute, you would know I was training for a 100 miler. It's Zion 100, about 10,000, 11,000 feet of elevation gain, and it's here in southern Utah. And I DNF'd, long story short. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, some of the takeaways from it. And this was probably 3-4 weeks ago, something like that. And I got sick and traveled to Nashville for work and really wanted to reflect on it before I came on here and did a video. I knew I would do it. This isn't exactly what I wanted to talk about, but it's the truth of what happened. And I was hoping to come here and be like, yeah, I smashed sub 24 hours. It's obviously not the case. I ran this race maybe 2 years ago, something like that, and then ran it in like 26 hours and 45 minutes. I wanted the sub 24, but I honestly didn't respect vert that much. I've done a couple hundreds before that, but that was road hundreds, and so I wasn't quite prepared for sub 24 in my opinion. And then I was planning on doing it the next year. I deferred, and then just a couple weeks ago, I dropped around 12 miles in. I was probably one of the first people to drop, if not the first. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I remember when I was headed to the start line, I started walking to the start line. My parents were with me, and I turned around and went back to them and gave them a hug. And it was pretty emotional and honestly, like, scary. And what I told them was, I'm scared for what's about to come. And that was how I was starting the race. And I'm sure everyone feels nervous like that. It's particularly interesting for me because I know what 100 miles feels like now. And I also know I can grind through it. I know I can do it. And I was overwhelmed by what it was going to feel 60 miles in, 80 miles in. I think everyone naturally thinks that way. I'm just very familiar with the pain, and that was scary for me. And I also knew mentally I was in a very weak spot compared to other 100 milers. I would say, honestly, I was more mentally prepared the first time I did a 100 miler than this go around. And I had my doubts, no doubt, when I was running my first 100 miler. But this one, honestly, I think part of what it was is I didn't do the preparation I know I should have. So for the 2.5 hours I ran, I could not get this thought out of my head that I didn't want to be there. I just did not want to be there. I didn't have injuries. I felt like my pace was pretty decent. I was just running my own race, right? Not getting caught up in the excitement of the beginning and trying to race people 12 miles in, right? But I wasn't prepared. And I do think part of me didn't want to be there. My friend told me this afterwards. She's a good friend of mine. We ran together. She told me after the 100 miler, or when I DNF'd, that when you finish 100 and you know you can do it, the why changes a little bit. Either you know you've accomplished it and it's like, okay, I can do that next. What's next in my life? Or you have to find a different why. Because initially with a 100 miler, it's can I do it? I know people can, but do I have what it takes? Can I see it through? And that's an amazing why. I think that's worthwhile. Now I know I can do it, and so that's not as exciting, or it doesn't give me the commitment that I need. And so I didn't want to really be there. But a big part of it also was that I didn't prepare like I should have. And I felt like in the past I've typically been the guy who doesn't miss workouts. If I have to get up in the morning at 3 a.m. to run before a flight to travel for work, or I didn't sleep well, I used to always get it in. And approaching this 100 attempt, I just slacked on workouts. I didn't do things I said I would. Sorry, that's my puppy. I didn't see workouts through. I cut them early. I skipped them. I said, I don't have to. I'll do this next week. And that's not really been me. But what happened there is I just wasn't as prepared as I should have been. And I had the thought, I knew I could grind through it, but the doubts started to creep in way too early. And I just couldn't... I don't know. I just couldn't talk myself out of it. I've been able to do that before. And I've had some people tell me since the DNF, like, it's good that you've learned when to quit early on. And that kind of sits right with me. Like, they're talking about how athletes take years to realize when to let go, opposed to grinding it out and it not being worth it. And that kind of sits right with me in a sense. Like, maybe there was a part of me that knew it wasn't worth it. But there's the other side that's like, well, you've built your character on being able to see things through and sticking to your word and grinding despite the circumstances. And that's not very easy to understand right now. And so it's been rather interesting coming back from that because I'm questioning, do I really care about hundreds? Now, I want to be clear, running is always going to be a part of my life. I wonder if hundreds are seriously going after it is just a phase, and I don't know yet. I don't know where I stand with that. It's been really hard couple of years with training because of just interesting fatigue or not feeling as excited about it. And so I'm navigating that. I'm seeing what that means for me. And I'm sure that's going to take some time. But ultimately, running is so amazing and nothing's changing about this channel. I'm going to keep posting. I just needed some time off to think about this and think through this so I could give a proper explanation. And so, if I'm being honest, there's just a lot of doubts right now, and I'm trying to understand things, and it's going to take some time. The beauty of it is, though, is when I run, I get that time alone to process a lot of this. And as soon as I got back from the DNF that morning, I hopped on the bike. I biked a couple miles. I think I did yoga. I realized that I was going to commit and actually commit to a marathon in October. This is St. George Marathon. This is where I ran sub 3 hours. The next year I did 3:18, and that was kind of the beginning, or kind of part of when I started taking time off from running. And so my fitness isn't where it was a couple of years ago. And then I had kind of a year where I didn't really take running as seriously because I was too tired or maybe burnt out. And now I feel like I'm coming back, and I feel like that DNF was valuable in the sense of I had to look myself in the mirror and say, if you want these things, you have to commit, and you have to treat it with the same respect that you did in the past. Kill the ego. You're not amazing. You're not great at these things, not in a self-deprecating way, but like, I'm not the shit. And since I'm not the shit, I have to put in effort, right? And any pro athlete I imagine, or people who have been doing this stuff for decades, they respect it and they're humble, and they know they have to put it in just as much preparation, even though they've already done it, right? And so I'm facing that right now, and I think it's been good. I really do feel like this has been some sort of a spiritual awakening or something where I'm just facing these things and I'm seeing what actually matters to me. And what does matter to me in all areas of life, outside of running as well, outside of fitness, is serious commitment to things. And I'm trying to figure out when you give yourself grace, because there's been times I've given myself no grace, and there's been times where I've given myself too much grace, in my opinion. And so now I'm facing these dualities, and it's just, I don't know, I'm rambling. It's kind of messes with me a little bit. It's hard to understand, but I know as I continue to meditate and think through these things, I'll come to some sort of answers. Running's not going anywhere for me. It's just, what does that look like? And how do I approach my training? And how do I approach my races? And I want to be the kind of person that goes all in. I just don't want to be the person that goes all in and forgets about everything else in my life, because I have 2 nieces, I have 2 dogs, I have a family that I love and they love me, I have a job I enjoy, I have this channel, and with those things, that's like 5 or 6 major areas of my life, and trying to fit that all in a week or in a day, I'm navigating that. And so I'm training hard. I feel like this week kind of picked up marathon training because I was traveling last week. So I'm committed. I've been really tired and actually sick coming back from Nashville, and I've still gotten my runs and workouts in. So I feel like I have that commitment back again, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. I'm just dealing with all these other things. So don't worry if you care about the channel. If not, it probably doesn't matter to you. But for those of you who have been watching most of my videos, I'm going to keep making videos. I have a couple planned for the week, and I'll get back to a consistent schedule. I just had to face some things for a minute. And walking away from the 100 miler, this is what I'll leave you with, is I'm going to be disappointed. I'm not going to feel shame. And I think that was the biggest takeaway from it. I can be disappointed that I didn't see it through, or that I didn't stick to my word, or I didn't train as seriously as I should have. I'm not going to feel shame about it, because that's so heavy. And I can find a way to come back from failure without shame being the driver. It can be the passion for life, wanting to see if I can do it again. Some sort of reason. A lot of the drivers for me in the past has been shame. And I can fail, but I can be disappointed about failure, but I'm not going to feel shame about it. And if you're dealing with that, I encourage you to look at it from that perspective, because there's other ways to fuel yourself through things other than shame. I think shame can be more damaging than just passion, or understanding that failure is just the first step to understanding. And that's where I'm at. I will not feel shame, and I'm going to try and combat it as best as I can, and then also face these new things that are coming up for me. So I appreciate you guys waiting for this video. It's not what I wanted. It's probably what I needed, and I appreciate the support. So if you're new to the channel, this channel is about fitness, running, really just the things I'm doing and learning as I run more and train and race. And so if you like that stuff, consider subscribing. If not, I still hope you got something out of this video, and I hope I get to see you in another video sometime soon. Peace.